Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. This is our last show of the week, Tony. What are you doing with your extra days off?
I'm Tony Kornheiser. Tattoo removal. I don't even know what Levitard life means, and it's spelled L-Y-F-E. I don't get it.
Neither do I. Why are you mentioning I was on something with Levitard the other day. Levitard has more stuff, more platforms, more ways to get Levitard out there. Here I am participating with him too.
It's more ways for people to see him sweat. He has a variety of avenues where you can tune in and he will sweat for you. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Thunder rolls, Matthew Tkachuk returns, and Booger McFarland joins us from the NFL Draft for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with the Lakers evening their playoff series with Minnesota at 1-1 last night. The Lakers beat the Timberwolves 94-85 as Luka Doncic led the way with 31 points, 12 rebounds, and 9 assists. Minnesota's 85 points was their lowest total of the season, and they shot 38% from the field. Wilbon, you went to this game. Did this restore your confidence in the Lakers?
No, because I hadn't lost any. I didn't feel a certain way about the Lakers because they lost game one. I know the tendency now in covering basketball in this modern world is to overreact to every game. It's not the NFL. It's not one game and you're down for a week. You come back and you play 48 hours later or 72. The Lakers did what I expected them to do. Luka and LeBron controlled the pace of the game, and the Lakers played much better defensively. And they didn't give up a bunch of open corner looks from three from Minnesota, which was 9 of 12 on corner threes in game one, and then 0 for 4 last night. That's a 27-point swing. You're not going to survive that. Minnesota got what they needed. They came and got game one, and they're going to take home court advantage back to Minnesota, where they're a pretty confident bunch. Anthony Edwards had 9 assists in game one, had none last night. I don't expect that to happen. So my confidence is not destroyed in Minnesota going forward either. This series went back and forth as I expected, and I suspect as you expected.
Well, I mean, I like the question because it implies that I had confidence in the Lakers, and I did not, and I don't. I love watching them, but they are a deeply flawed team sometimes. They don't have any big men. Luka Doncic scored, 68 points in these 2 games, and they only won one of them? Mike, I think they need a minimum of 60 from Luka and from LeBron to win in most cases. And Minnesota, they went to the conference finals last year, I believe, and then they made what I think is a really stupid trade. They got rid of Karl Anthony Towns, and they basically said, we're going to give Anthony Edwards this team. We're going to roll with Anthony Edwards. He's our guy now. And maybe that's a good strategy, but I think it might be flawed by the statistic you just gave, which is he had no assists. He had no assists, whereas Luka last night had 9 assists. But I agree with you that that series could go back and forth. I say this every day. I like to watch Luka and LeBron on television. I never thought that I'd be giving credit to defense, but as you say, Minnesota went from 21 made threes to 5 made threes.
Yeah.
Was that defense? Was that J.J. Redick? I don't know, but something happened.
I was going to say, let's give a little credit to J.J. Redick, Tony, not only for that, but for coming out with a plan, and then the players executed it, which confused Ant-Man a little bit. He said he wasn't certain of what he was seeing. Now, some film study between now and Game 3 will help that. But, yeah, I think everybody on that Laker team needs to be credited for the way they came out and did that last night. Does that mean it's going to happen again in Game 3? No, it doesn't. And so, I'm not on the confidence train for anybody yet other than OKC. The Thunder and the Pacers are both 2 for 2. OKC beat the Grizzlies again, this time by a mere 19 after, you remember, winning Game 1 by 51. And Indiana beat the Bucks for a second straight time, despite the return of Dame Lillard. And after the game, Bucks coach Doc Rivers said, quote, "I'm very confident about this series, very," close quote. Tone, do you remain optimistic, or does it feel over for the Grizzlies and the Bucks?
Well, it certainly feels over for the Grizzlies. I mean, Oklahoma City should sweep them. Oklahoma City has now defeated them 6 straight times this season, each time in double figures, and in the playoffs by 51 and by 19. Memphis is simply not in the same category as Oklahoma City. And Mike, I think in most cases, the one should sweep the play-in 8. Like, I think that Cleveland will sweep Miami in their 1-8, but I don't think it's over for the Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo has scored 70 points in 2 games, and they have lost both of them. All right, that's a remarkable feat to me. They now go to Milwaukee for games 3 and 4. Milwaukee's 28-14 at home, and Indiana is 21-20 on the road. I will be astonished if Antetokounmpo scores 70 points in 2 games and they lose them in Milwaukee. They're completely astonished. What I find interesting today is everybody on talk shows this morning is giving loud credence to the notion that this is it for Antetokounmpo, and he's going to ask to be traded from Milwaukee. Yeah. So,
Tony, look, I think Milwaukee will go get game 3. I mean, Dame Lillard got out of the way his return game last night, and I think he's going to be closer to fine in the Dame Lillard we've seen for game 3. And so if they get that game, it's a series, it's on, it's in Milwaukee. So I don't see any sort of sweep of that being over. I do think, wow, if Milwaukee goes out early, Tony, I do think that's going to be curtains in Milwaukee for Giannis. I do. The other series, not even worth talking about. Listen, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the presumptive MVP, got my vote. He's shot 33% in the first 2 games, and his team has won by 70. 33%. He didn't start playing yet.
It's a mismatch.
But, Tony, it's not like the Bucks are going to trot a 2021 Chris Middleton out there. They're not. I don't know where they go to get sort of younger. They look old right now. They do.
I will tell you this. My favorite part in the series is Halliburton going back and forth with Lillard. They obviously hate each other. They're jawing at each other. And when that game was won last night, Halliburton went like this to Lillard. Dame time, and laughed at him. At him. Woo! Yeah. Let's move to hockey.
Careful.
The Florida Panthers' best player, Matthew Tkachuk, took to the ice last night for the first time in almost 9 weeks and promptly scored 2 power play goals as Florida beat Tampa Bay in the first game of their playoff series. Tkachuk had been out with an undisclosed lower body injury. Wilbon, what does this performance mean for the Panthers' chances to repeat as Stanley Cup champions?
I mean, they got to take such heart in the engine of their team coming out and doing this. He just seems to provide whatever's necessary, even at a time physically when you think he could be compromised. And in the NHL, unlike all other leagues, guys announce we're coming after you, which is why they've gone to lower body injuries as opposed to right knee, because they would come and take your right knee out. This is what happens. And Tkachuk doesn't seem to care about that. I would just caution, before we get too carried away, this is round 1. And they would get a Toronto team which seems to be soaring at least through 2 games of his playoff series in the next round, Toronto. So that would be an attractive series. But, man, Tkachuk, he gives it to you, and they got to feel like collectively, like, let's drop the gloves, the Panthers players. We're ready to go right now because we got him.
Yeah. I'm going to remind you what happened yesterday on this show. We had PK Subban on this show, and he told the story of running into Tkachuk after the 4 Nations Cup. And he said that Tkachuk said to him, "I'm done." Those were his words, "I'm done." Well, he ain't done now. This, to me, is like, a guy getting Tommy John and coming back and throwing a no-hitter. The guy plays 11 minutes last night. He has 2 goals and an assist. It's a tremendous return, and the Panthers can use this because in his absence, Mike, they dropped from 2nd place to 5th place. Like, we don't know the nature of his injury because the NHL is protective of the players, and they should be. But it had to be pretty serious because I think he was out for 70 days. Alex Ovechkin broke his leg and was out for 39 days. So let's hear it for Tkachuk. That's a great return. Yeah. Let's take a break.
Yeah,
Coming up, the NFL draft is tomorrow. How will teams value Shedeur Sanders? We're going to ask Booger McFarland.
We'll also ask him whether the resurgence of running backs in the National Football League will lead to an earlier selection of Mr. Ashton Genty.
You saw that yesterday, right? You saw Halliburton do this? Dame time?
Oh, yeah.
Like you reap what you sow.
He said it's not Dame time.
In a story we broke wide open in our A's bump, the NFL draft begins tomorrow. That makes it a perfect time for a visit from our great friend who will be on tomorrow's telecast from Green Bay, Mr. Booger McFarland, wearing an Oakmont shirt, site of the upcoming U.S. Open. Boog, let's start with this. Some people have Shedeur Sanders going very early. Others now have him falling. As a player, when you were out there, you went after quarterbacks. How do you think his game translates to the NFL?
I think his game translates well. Like, it's amazing. Like, the further we get into this process and start talking about the NFL draft, we become absolved to like the wow plays. Like, we're always looking for the wow plays that we forget about the simple, the mundane, the normal. I love Magic Johnson, and to me, that's what he is. He's the quintessential point guard from the pocket that can deliver the football accurately, precisely, with timing. He's completing 82% of his passes from a clean pocket. And I get it. We're looking for the quarterback that can throw it over his head, that can flip around and do backflips and throw from sidearm. But to me, if you look at the prerequisites for the position, can you deliver the football accurately? Can you throw it with timing? Do you make great decisions? Shedeur Sanders does that the best, and I think there's a place for him in the NFL. And I just don't get all the hate, the people that says that he can't play, that he might not even be a first-round quarterback. I just don't see it.
Booger, I want to move to the place that you are comfortable over a lot of years, the trenches. And other than Abdul Carter, who, let's face it, everybody's agreed is going quickly and happily early in this draft, who do you see, offensive line or defensive line? And it seems like there's a lot of guys, but maybe not a standout. Who stands out to you on either side of the ball in the trenches?
To me, there's a couple of guys. I'll go to some guys that I think have been kind of picked over. I'll start on the offensive side. Will Campbell. I think he's going to be the first offensive lineman picked, but people are criticizing him because his arms are too short. Think about this. His arms were 32 and 5/8 at the combine. The magic mark is 33. He was 33 at his pro day. So somehow between February and March, his arms grew 3/8 of an inch. Regardless if that's the case or not, to me, he's been playing left tackle for a long time, guys. He's played in the SEC. He started every game at LSU. And I think if you're looking for a franchise left tackle, you're going to draft Will Campbell. You put him in left tackle, and you forget it. On the defensive side of the ball, I'm going to go to Walter Nolan. If you go back a few years, he was the #1 recruit in the nation in high school. He went to Texas A&M. He transferred to Ole Miss. And I think when you look at him, you still see the traits that make him special. Some people don't think he's going to be the first defensive tackle taken. That signature and that thing goes to Mason Graham. But I think Walter Nolan may be the best defensive tackle, the interior guy, in the entire draft. The quickness, the twitchiness, his ability to get upfield and play that 3 technique, I think he's outstanding. So Walter Nolan, Will Campbell, 2 guys in the trenches not named Abdul Carter.
Booger, I'm a kid who grew up on Gale Sayers and Walter Payton, and just seeing Ashton Jeanty on the board, and the Bears may be reasonably close at number 10, even if they have to try to move up, excites me. But running backs have been just sort of dismissed for years, until lately when a guy from the Eagles went crazy on people through the Super Bowl. Where are you on Jeanty and the importance of a guy like Jeanty in today's NFL?
Well, I think Saquon showed us that when you can do what he can do behind that offensive line, they won a Super Bowl with it. He was the most valuable player. He's the best running back in football. And if you have a special guy like a Saquon, like a Derrick Henry, like a Christian McCaffrey when they're healthy, that can carry a team that can do it all, to me, that guy is still valuable. With that being said, I don't think there's any chance that Ashton Jeanty is going to be there at number 10, Mike. I think he's just too good. He's too valuable. Think Emmitt Smith with a little bit of James Conner in him. So he's got the balance and the gliding of Emmitt Smith, but he's got that physical prowess and that contact balance of like a James Conner. That's the type of guy you're getting in Ashton Jeanty. I think he's in play for Jacksonville at 5, maybe the Raiders at 6, but I don't think he's going to be there for the Bears at 10. Make no mistake about it. The running back is back, and I think all the guys can thank Saquon Barkley for that and the show that he put on in the NFL last season.
So great. You broke Wilbon's heart. You compared him to Emmitt Smith, and then you said that the Bears can't get him.
Trade up.
It's just wonderful. We get you out of here on this. You've mentioned a lot of people that we have heard of already, Booger. Are there any lesser-known players that you particularly like?
You know what, Tony? I love the undersized guys. And there's a little receiver from Iowa State, Jalen Noel. 5'10", 100 and whatever pounds. And he's going to be the quintessential slot receiver. But he's an alpha. He's a guy that does the one thing that every quarterback loves, and that he separates. He lets the quarterback know at the top of the route when it's time to throw the football. And I think you're going to be able to put him in the slot for whatever team that's drafted him. And he's going to be dynamite in a bottle. He'll catch a ton of balls across the middle. He's not Tedoroy McMillan. He's not Matthew Golden. He's not some of the other top receivers that you've heard about. But make no mistake about it, if you get Jalen Noel on your team, he's from Iowa State. I know Will Bond knows about him, but some people don't watch football that's not in the SEC. They just don't watch it. But if you haven't watched Jalen Noel, he will be outstanding for your team. You put him in the slot, and as George Foreman said years ago, set it and forget it.
The George Foreman grill. Tremendous. Thank you, Booger. Thank you.
Booger, appreciate you. Thank you.
Anytime. Tony, I'll make sure and tell Mel you had said hello, buddy.
Yeah, Mel Kiper, love him. I don't know, maybe one time I wrote something bad, but it's a long time ago. Love him now. Yeah. Maybe. Let's take one last break. Still to come, 2 dramatic finishes in baseball that are worth noting.
And will the Rockets bounce back against the Dubs tonight in Game 2 in H-Town?
Wilbon,
we might trade up. We might trade up with New England.
It's got to be 45 years ago. You'd think Mel wouldn't remember, but I guess, according to Booger,
it's
Mel
not
remembers.
45 years, maybe 35, though. Oh, maybe 35
But I love
years.
Mel. I think Mel... Happy time, people. Happy 70th birthday tomorrow, Ernie Grunfeld. History lesson, kids. In the mid-70s, Grunfeld and Bernard King were All-Americans together at the University of Tennessee. It was called the Ernie and Bernie Show. King went on to a Hall of Fame career in the NBA. Grunfeld was drafted 11th overall by Milwaukee, played 9 seasons in the NBA, averaging about 7 points a game. In his post-playing days, Grunfeld was assistant coach for his hometown New York Knicks and moved to managerial roles, rising to general manager there. Eventually, Grunfeld became general manager of the Washington Wizards, where Wilbon and I covered him for the Washington Post. Grunfeld is a graduate of Forest Hills High School, as are Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel.
Tony, it is so cool to go to Madison Square Garden right now and see Bernard King sitting there in the crowd, and he's always in like a suit and tie. He looks great. You want to tell people how unstoppable Bernard King was even before and after knee surgeries? Unstoppable.
Just the quickest leap to the basket of anyone ever. Happy anniversary, Steve Young. Around this day 38 years ago, the 49ers traded for the Tampa Bay quarterback to serve as backup to Joe Montana. 49ers coach Bill Walsh was impressed by Young's natural abilities and believed his pedestrian numbers with the Buccaneers were primarily due to a lack of talent around him. Young backed up Montana through much of the 49ers dynasty, but Young ascended to the starting role and extended that dynasty. Young won the Super Bowl in the '94 season, throwing for 6 touchdown passes as the 49ers beat the Chargers 49-26 in the monkey off my back game. Plus, Steve Young is the best guest we've ever had on the PTI program.
Steve Young is great at everything. Steve Young went to law school and completed a degree while he was playing professional football, okay? And people talk about, oh, Aaron Rodgers is the best I've ever. Shut up. Aaron Rodgers couldn't touch Steve Young at his greatest. Shut up.
Happy trails to last night's games for the Dodgers and White Sox. Dodgers were up 10-9 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th when Miguel Amaya of the Cubs drove one that just made it into the basket in left center to tie the game. Ian Happ then won it for Chicago with a walk-off single in the 10th. But that wasn't the only fun finish last night. In Minnesota, the Twins were up 4-2 and needed just one more out to put away the White Sox. Andrew Benintendi's bid to tie it with an extra base hit was snagged by a diving Byron Buxton to seal Minnesota's win.
We've had to play the Dodgers like 6 times so far. The best team money could buy, the best team in baseball, presumably. And I think we're 3-3 against the Dodgers in those games so far this season. The Cubs had some guts last night. It was great to see.
And a melancholy trails to Mike Patrick, the longtime play-by-play commentator for ESPN, has died at the age of 80. In his 36-year run at the network that began in 1982, Patrick called Sunday Night Football, major college football matchups, and scores of men's and women's college basketball games. Patrick lived just outside D.C. Mike went to school at GW and worked the booth with legends from this area like Joe Theismann and Len Elmore.
Tony, Mike Patrick called the first NFL game ever broadcast on ESPN, the first NFL game. And I got to be around him a lot when he was calling ACC games when I was writing for the Washington Post and a young beat writer covering that league. And he was just a joy to be around and an absolute professional in so many ways.
Got to go real quick with the big finish. Ace Bailey of Rutgers will enter the NBA draft. Do you like his game?
Scouts do. They say he's going to be projected second overall pick in the draft. Peyton Pritchard of the Celtics, NBA's sixth man of the year. It's deserved, right?
You voted for him. Rick Pitino has added 5 top players from the portal. You impressed?
That's all people do. They just go to the portal shopping. Jock Peterson of the Rangers is 0 for his last 41. Your thoughts?
That's brutal. I hope he gets off that schneid. Last one, Warriors-Rockets, game 2 tonight. Who you got?
I got the Warriors winning the series, but the Rockets winning tonight. Şengün, it's going to be a big night for him.
We're out of time. Trying to do better the next time. Happy birthday, Liz. Like I said, I got the trees.
Birthday, Liz. I'm Mike Wilbon. We're off till Monday, knuckleheads. Here's SportsCenter.